Welcome back, everybody. It's your boy Aaron. It's your boy Ben. I don't know why I spoke for Ben there. It's week 4. We are sadly, for some teams, at the end of this week, a third of the way through the college football season, which means only one thing, guys. There's a lot more money to be made. Now, granted, the book kind of hit us last week, hit us hard, hit us rough, hit us early, except Ben did hit one of his upsets. He took Memphis money line, hit for a plus 330 cash. Thank you, Seth Sutton, I believe, and Arlington Maiden, the backup quarterback, with the big plays there for the Tigers. And we'll just jump into the recap. So we did have that Memphis game. We won't spend too much time on that. The big early game was Utah, Texas Tech. We were both on Utah's side. They were the home team, elevation, 3.5-point favorites. And Texas Tech's backup quarterback looked like Tom Brady out there, mixed with Patrick Mahomes' scrambling ability. It was an absolute bludgeoning, especially in the second half when he came in, by the Red Raiders. Now, Ben, I was at work, so I didn't get to see any of this game, but you, I know, watched it. What was your takeaway? I've only seen highlights.
My takeaway was that the Texas Tech defense is for real. All of the transfers that they brought in are really good, and I mean that's the main takeaway because I thought Utah with Devon Dampier and the New Mexico, like the transfer from New Mexico and his offensive coordinator that came with him, I thought they would be able, like they've been able to score on anyone that they've played so far. And it turns out I thought that Texas Tech had not played anybody and that would hurt them, but it turns out that Utah's offense not playing any good defenses it hurt them more.
Right.
That was a little bit of a shock, but I think it was a shock how Utah could not move the ball on Texas Tech. So I was mostly surprised by that combination, Utah's offense and Texas Tech's defense shutting them down. And then obviously second string quarterback for Texas Tech just going insane.
Just come in and throw it.
Icing on the cake. I think, Utah would have, or Texas Tech would have won even if their backup quarterback was terrible. Like, they had the game sold.
Right, because they had the game, because I think if you see transitive property in terms of
not sold,
or what the score was when he entered the game versus what the score ended up being, Utah wasn't putting up any points. They could just take it knees and probably been fine. But I don't know if you saw T-Bob on Nestor Roughness. He said that man, hate to say it, but that man made a lot of money tonight in this offseason for whenever he transfers. But I was from the highlights I've seen, it's just because what I've been hearing was this Utah offensive line is so good. They have two first round tackles.
Yeah.
And Texas Tech was just winning the line of scrimmage. And Kyle Whittingham even said it after the game that he would not have believed you if you told him before the game. He believed you said they lost, but he would not have believed you if you said you're going to lose the trenches. He would not believe that at all because Utah rarely does, especially at home. But it turns out Texas Tech, they have that oil money, and this is the era of college football we're in, where Texas Tech is 4-0 and playing for possible trip to college football playoff for the rest of the season, and Clemson is 1-3 because it is an absolute dumpster fire. We won't waste our time with them, though.
I'll just add on to the Texas Tech spending the oil money. I saw a stat, and it was the top 7 transfer portal classes. All of those teams that had the top 7 transfer portal classes are undefeated to this point of the season. So I just think it goes to the point that the transfers, they're not some of these huge names, and the reason because they're not some of these huge names, and I just coming off the dome, but like the reason some of these guys are not huge names is because high school recruiting doesn't matter as much anymore. And so when these guys are transferring school to school, you don't recognize the name because you didn't know them out of high school because you don't know all the 4 and 3 stars that are committing to schools. Like, you just know some 5 stars.
You just know the 5 stars.
And even then.
Right. You just know the 5 stars. Yeah. You know who your team recruited. You'll know some of who your team recruits out of high school. You'll know their names. But you won't really know who.
Right. What 5
Utah
stars
recruits,
that Utah.
Who these other schools. What 5 stars, what Michigan State gets, because Michigan, Sam Leavitt, the Arizona State quarterback, he was a Michigan State transfer. It's like you don't know who these other schools and other conferences. You really don't, unless you're devoting your entire time, like you're the Josh Pates, Liam Blutmans of the world, you're not really devoting your entire time to it.
Right.
And so you don't know these guys. You're not staying up and watching, Mountain West football. But yeah, that was the big takeaway I just saw was from the highlights was just the push on the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Second big game of the day, second ranked game of the day was Auburn visiting Oklahoma. Of course, big news came out today as we're recording on Tuesday. John Mateer out for at least 3 weeks. Now, granted, that does include this week's bye week and next week's Kent State game. But the big game he possibly might miss is the Red River rivalry. Try saying that 5 times fast because we can't say shootout anymore. But he might miss that game as well due to a broken thumb that he suffered in practice today. So the big takeaways from that game are kind of muted at this point because of that turn point or because of that development, I should say. But my biggest takeaway was Auburn. It might go downhill fast, and it's not because of Jackson Arnold. I think he has the talent, but his offensive line. I mean, and credit to Oklahoma, but 10 sacks, 10. It was a turnstile back there. Now, granted, I had Oklahoma minus 6.5, so I really appreciate the safety at the end of the game. But it was just, here you go. Hey, Jackson, sorry. Jackson, look out, look out. Like, it was just terrible playing there by the offensive line. But credit to Oklahoma. They knew it was going to be a defensive game. So you're right in that point because you did say that under was the play. I took the over, and that had no chance at all. But yeah, my biggest takeaway was that I think you can take from this is Oklahoma's defense could be for real, but Auburn's offensive line is bad, and it could go bad fast with the games they have on their remaining schedule. From my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just look at the last drive. Well, obviously, I think Auburn took the lead. I was obviously watching the Ole Miss Tulane game. Great game for Ole Miss. But
right.
So I flipped to the Auburn-Oklahoma game late. And, I mean, you see Auburn take the lead, and then I had to go do something, so I missed the Oklahoma score. But you see Auburn get the ball back. And on the safety, the tackle just stands there and gets obliterated by the defensive end, and you're just like, what are we doing?
He got blocked. I can't remember if it was him or if it was the backup trying to chip.
The offensive tackle,
one of them got blocked.
Sacked Jackson Arnold. I was like, what?
I was gonna say it was like he got pushed into him in the end zone. It was insane.
On 4th down to lose the game, you get beat so bad you sack your quarterback by falling into him. That is atrocious, and that's unacceptable. I mean, I think, like you said, what do you take away? The Auburn defense held its own. The Auburn offense went against a tough challenge in the Oklahoma defense. I think it was just a tough matchup, but we'll see how the season turns out for both. Obviously, losing John Mateer is a big deal, and then how does Auburn bounce back?
Yeah. And they got to go back to Michael Hawkins, who was the guy who they kept going back and forth with last year with Jackson Arnold. So
he's not horrible.
They obviously don't have any faith in him. He's not horrible. He's not the passer, from what I remember from seeing him last year. He's not the passer that Arnold is, or excuse me, that Mateer is obviously, but he does have some of the athleticism. So it's going to be. So I do wonder what they do as far as the passing game, especially with Texas. But I somehow think there's going to be some snake oil or something that's going to be rubbed on Jackson Arnold's right hand, and he'll be fine for that game. But
Mateer.
I think it could go. Yeah, Mateer, my bad.
You're good.
Last ranked game of the day, I was dead wrong. Hand up, dead wrong. I looked at Luke Altmaier and I said, son, I have covered you in high school. I believe in you. It's your 5th year of college. I believe in you, sir. You're going to go on the road at 6.5-point dogs, but you've beaten Duke. You can do this. You can beat Indiana. And that game was over by the time you turned it on. I mean, I know it was tied at 1.7-7, and then it was a runaway train. It was a freight train hitting a standalone house. It was just it was an absolute bludgeoning. And credit to Kurt Signetti because he shut everybody up. He shut me up. He shut Brandon Walker up. Anybody that's ever had questions about Kurt Signetti, probably butchering that name, as far as what he can do at this level in a big-time game, there's no – I mean, I understand he lost the 2 games last year, but at least this year, from what this team has done, there's no questions. Now, granted, Illinois could have been overrated because the AP poll was a joke, but you still beat a team that is a quality opponent by 53 points. You bludgeon them, you beat them up, and you kept beating them up. So I really, and my takeaway was also, that was the first time I really paid attention to Fernando Mendoza. My bad. I also thought he played like a G5. He played at Cal last year, but who was watching Cal last season? Not me. Now granted, he is the Heisman favorite now because of Material's injury. He's a player. Now, granted, I think that offense, I mean, that screen game's really well. The offensive line is huge. So I was really impressed by the Hoosiers, and I think they could be a player. Now, granted, they have to play Penn State, and they have to play Oregon this year. I did hear that they have to play Oregon. So, like, it's not the same kind of schedule as last year where they only had to play Ohio State. They have to play 2 of them. But this is the game that if you kind of do what you did last year and don't get killed against Ohio State, you can probably get in as a 10-2 team out of the Big Ten. And if your 2 losses are to Penn State and Oregon, who we'll get to that game when we start talking about this week's game, you could still make the playoffs. So, I think Indiana is a player again this year for the playoff. Now, are they national championship good? I think that is yet to be seen. But so far, they're one of the best teams that we've seen as far as an impressive performances.
Yeah, I was shocked by the final score. Like, going into the game, obviously I didn't think either of the teams were great. And now, Indiana has my attention. I'll say that. Illinois still not that great.
We'll get to Illinois in a little bit. But yeah, it was not I think of those 3 ranked games, I think the losers of the 3 losers, Utah's the one I'm not that worried about just because the Big 12 is somewhat wide open. But with the way, now granted, the way they looked, not looking good, but hopefully Kyle Whittingham can get that team. But the other 2, Auburn and Illinois, I think it could go downhill fast in terms of being in like a top 10, top 25 ranking and possibly bottoming out going like 7-5, 6-6.
I mean, the thing with Auburn, I'll say, it's not the reason they would bottom out is not really necessarily like, oh my gosh, we're awful, we lost to Oklahoma, right? Like, that's not the takeaway from the game. I think they played a super competitive game. They took the lead with like 2 minutes left or whatever it was.
2 minutes left, yeah.
So, I mean, they had a fourth quarter lead. The takeaway is not that they're bad and they need to give up on the season, but with the schedule they have. With the schedule they have coming up, it's like, where are the wins? That's the issue. So,
Exactly.
It's this hill now that they didn't win this game. It's like, how are they going to win the next game? And like, you just keep asking that.
Right,
like,
exactly.
How do you see that happening?
And then like, okay, like how are you going to win? Like we'll get to like this week they're in College Station. Like how you expect? I think they're in College Station. They might be hosting.
Either way,
they're in College
Texas
Station.
A&M at all, it's just
they're in College Station.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like where are the wins going to fall?
Yep.
But yeah. So that's a quick little recap. So we will get into this week's slate of games. We have 4 top 25 matchups. Most we've had so far in a week. Normally we've been at a consistent string of 3. Yeah. First one, and we kind of said this game's probably going to be a quick talk, and I think it could be a quick game. It's one of the teams you just mentioned, Illinois. They host USC. USC -6.5, and I'll just give my quick take. I don't know if you stayed up and watched the Michigan State or USC game. Aiden Childs, take a knee. I don't know why you have to throw a touchdown pass that's meaningless with 30 seconds left. Like, brother, no one's watching. You can just throw little check downs, let the time run out. Lose by 21. You don't have to lose by. You don't have to make it look better and lose by 14. Some of us had vested interest in that game, so I will forever not like you, Aiden Childs and Jonathan Smith. But another reason that I took that game was this whole adage of teams traveling 2 time zones in the Big Ten since the Big Ten expanded. They haven't looked the best against the spread. I think that I'm going against that for this game. USC -6.5. Give me all of those. Jaden, I think it's Jaden, or it's either Jaden or Jordan, Mailata, the quarterback for USC. He is a player. He runs that offense just like Caleb Williams did in terms of mobile, but he stays in the pocket a little. He stays in the pocket a lot better than Caleb did. So I think he could make USC a player. Now I'm not saying they're a player for the playoff, they're a player for playing the Big Ten championship or anything like that. But I think this is a team that, as the season progresses, we're going to look up in October and they're going to be 7-1, 8-0 kind of deal, depending on depending on what they do in some of these games. And it starts with this game against Illinois. But give me the Trojans -6.5. The over/under is set at 59.5. I'm not touching that just because USC's defense is pretty good. Like DeAndre Lynn, I believe is their DC's name. He has turned that defense around. Illinois, I think it's not D'Anthony, because D'Anthony...
Not D'Anthony, but D'Anton. I don't know.
D'Anton, mate. Yeah, it's something. But if you watch... I can't watch Illinois put up 10 points and then go, okay, you put up 10 points last week. I'm taking you to cover and over. No, thank you, sir. So my play in that game would be the under, and I would take USC in the points at 6.5.
I think we're completely on the same page. I trust USC a lot after they beat Michigan State and looked pretty good, and then I don't trust Illinois at all after that performance they did last week. I will say Illinois, we think is a fairly good team. They took over that game against Duke prior to the shellacking that they got from Indiana, but if we think they're a good team, they're going to bounce back. That's the only hesitation I have, but I think USC is good enough to withstand any blows that Illinois could throw their way. So yeah. I agree.
I think we said it's going to be a quick game, and it was kind of quick there. The next one on the docket, 2:30, ABC, Oxford, Mississippi. Number 4, LSU. Number 13, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored by 1.5. It's going to stay around and pick 'em. Money line and point spreads are probably going to stay, I would imagine, between 1.5 the entire week, with both teams being so looked so well. At least Ole Miss has looked pretty good all season, minus the Kentucky game, but that's the Kentucky game. The defense did bounce back. They played a Tulane team that's been putting up points, and they held them to, I think, 10, and it was a garbage time touchdown that helped Tulane, I think, even get to 10 or 17, whatever it was. I know it was a garbage time touchdown late. The over/under set 54.5. And yes, folks, we will discuss it. Landry Kiffin has hard launched her in Whit Weeks. The week of the Ole Miss game. Whose idea was it? Was it Landry's? Was it Witt's? Was it Lane's? We're not here to speculate. But Lane Kiffin did hit Twitter, and he hit up my guy, Mikey Overs, who said that this game now reeks of over. And Lane quoted and responded and said, yeah, bud, take the over. The over-under is only set at 54.5, and I think that is absolutely disrespectful to the type of game that we saw 2 years ago in Oxford. With the classic that was that LSU Ole Miss game, where you had Jackson Dart and Jaden Daniels just absolutely trading blows. Ole Miss winning late, I think it was 54-48, something like that. It was insane. Give me the over. Give me all the points. We'll get to my complete feelings on that. But yeah, give me the over in that game. I just think it's too low of a number. Nussmeier, I understand it was against Southeast Louisiana, but he looked right. He finally looked right and looked the best he had last week. So that, I think, does give him confidence. And Ole Miss, whoever's that quarterback, Austin Simmons, Trinidad Chambliss, I'll turn it to you now, and then I'll let you talk and have your spiel. But has there been any rumblings of if Simmons is going to play? What's the word in Oxford?
So the thought is that Chambliss. I'll start here. In Kiffin's press conference, I think it was his first press conference availability for this week. He was asked, who's your starter? And what he said was, Simmons is our starter when 100% healthy. Well, then you hear all the rumblings like, oh, Chambliss is obviously amazing. Like everyone's that's watched Ole Miss has seen how great he's been the past 2 weeks. But then you see On3 puts him as tied for 10th. I don't know who on On3 did this, but tied for 10th in the Heisman ranking, which is insane. But I did actually see on some of the Ole Miss message boards, the question was asked, when will Simmons be fully healthy? And they said the Washington State game. So that leads me to believe that Chambliss will be the starter until the Washington State game comes. And I guess we'll just see how if Chambliss continues this magical run. I don't see how Simmons takes that starting job back.
I think, and this is just this is outsider kind of perspective. It's hard to bench a quarterback that keeps winning you games.
Yeah,
like you saw it a couple years ago with Stetson Bennett and who was it? Guy that went like to 15 different schools. JT Daniels. JT Daniels. Yeah. Daniels was the starter. Like he was a presumptive starter. Started first 2 weeks. Got hurt in like a money game where they paid someone $1 million to come get their butts kicked. But he got hurt, and Bennett kept playing. He kept playing. He was the starter. He kept playing. And then it came to a point, and Kirby Smart was like, well, I'm going to go with the guy that's won all these tight games. And if Trinidad Chambliss is the quarterback for Ole Miss this game and they win, and it's no offense to Austin Simmons, but just looking at how he did throw 2 picks in each of his first 2 games. And if Chambliss, what I've seen, has not turned the ball over that much, if at all. And if you win a game, this type of game at LSU, and jump Ole Miss into national championship picture, playoff picture, SEC championship picture, yourself in the Heisman conversation, you can't bench the guy. I understand that probably means that Simmons is gone, but Chambliss, if I'm not mistaken, is a senior, so it's like, why, if you're Simmons, like, hey, to sit the year out, maybe fully heal up, because, I believe it is a high ankle sprain, and that's something that can continue. Like, you tweak your ankle, it just takes one kind of tweak, and then boom, you're out another week or 2. So I don't fall into that notion of, if you bench Simmons, he's gone. I fall into the notion of, you play with the guy that's going to give you the best chance to win, and as of right now, that is Chambliss. And if he wins this game, I think it's really, really difficult to bench him and go back to Simmons.
Yeah, I'll just say, as an Ole Miss fan, we get spoiled. I think, preseason, Caden Lee, our slot receiver, was projected to be an all-SEC receiver, and he got like 2 catches under Simmons. He had a few more targets that were thrown pretty substantially behind him that would have been very difficult to catch. And then with like the minute that Trinidad Chambliss is the starter, Caden Lee gets like a 60-yard pass, and it's like those things where he's distributing the ball to all of our playmakers. Like going into the season, we hear, and no offense to Harrison Wallace, he's been electric. He's been awesome. He's always open, especially when Austin Simmons is in the game. Like if he's always open, you throw him the ball. But going into the season, it's like you hear all about this wide receiver depth. We have so much wide receiver depth. We have so much tight end depth. And then you throw to Harrison Wallace 10 times a game. It's like, let's distribute the wealth a little bit more, and that's what Chambliss is doing, and it helps that he's getting outside the pocket. He's finding open guys off schedule. He's coming off of his first read and seeing and that comes with experience, which Simmons doesn't have. Simmons, I love his arm. Dude can throw it to any part of the field that he wants. He is a complete gunslinger. Reminds me of a young Nussmeier, where he can make any throw, and he's going to try to make every throw, no matter if it's in triple coverage or not. And that's a lot of what he was doing weeks 1 and 2. So I think with growth, which Nussmeier seems to have grown so far to this point this year, Simmons can be a really good player for Ole Miss or whoever. If he decides to transfer, I wouldn't blame him if we do roll with Chambliss the rest of the year. But anyways, I think Ole Miss covers as well. I think that LSU hasn't really been challenged. We talked about Clemson. Yeah, we talked about Clemson.
I think it's this.
We talked about Clemson's offense. That hasn't been great. Florida's offense, 5 turnovers, and LSU only scored 20 points still. They looked a lot better against Southeast Louisiana, but that's not saying that much. So
No, yeah.
I
But yeah, I think
we're going to be the best offense that LSU has played
yes.
by far. So
Right.
it'll be it'll be a fun matchup to watch. I think we have an advantage in that aspect, and all of our playmakers. Like you can't focus on one guy, and so I think offensively we'll be able to do whatever we want, no matter how highly rated LSU's defense is, and it'll just come down to if LSU wants to run the ball, because I guess our one weakness to this point, to be fair, has been the Ole Miss, like the run defense, but LSU tends to want to throw the ball more than run. So if they throw the ball more, like our DBs aren't terrible, so I don't know. It's gonna be high scoring though. The over is an easy play.
The over is an easy play. I've contemplated seeing what I can alt it to in the 60s and just like sprinkling something on it just to like kind of
Shoot.
like small bet that wins quite a bit.
71.5. I mean, goodness.
Yeah, so like from what we've seen, like that's not
I
out
guess
of the question in this game.
the thought is LSU's offense has to score too, which I think they can against
Right.
Ole Miss's
Yeah.
defense is not by any means what they were last year. So LSU can score, but they haven't really
Right.
done it yet to this point.
Yeah. Yeah, so moving on to that, to the big game, or the biggest, I don't think it's the biggest. I think this game is the biggest game in the SEC that day, just because of both teams are undefeated. This game, though, is somewhat of an eliminator game if one team loses. That is 17th ranked Alabama going on the road to face Georgia. Georgia's only favored by 3. The over-under is set at 52.5. And if you remember, we've talked about this quite a bit. I don't know if we talked about it last week, and I don't know if we talked about week 1 because those are the only episodes we've been actually able to post. But if you're given 3 points, the thought is if it's at a neutral site, if you're at home, you give a team 3 to 3.5 points, and then you take that away at a neutral site, and then you flip it. So this is theoretically, according to the odds makers, a pick'em game if it was at a neutral site. And I understand that Bama's looked good, but I do question the level of competition they've played. I mean, you saw Wisconsin get absolutely shellacked by, I think it was Maryland, who's supposed to be one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. They were 10-point favorites and lost by, I want to say, almost 20, if not over 20. And so you do, again, we talked about LSU in the Clemson game. That's another game you kind of point to, like, okay, like this, like we thought Wisconsin might be like not good, but we thought they'd be average in the Big Ten, and they're obviously not going to be that. And so that leads me to this game. I would take Georgia just because in the biggest game that each team has played on the road, now granted this is a home game for Georgia, which quarterback has looked the best? And it's been Gunnar Stockton. He went toe-to-toe with Joey Aguilar in that Josh Heupel offense, won the shootout. He grew a lot, I think, in that Texas game. Earned a lot of respect from me as far as like the passes he made, especially late in the game. That 4th and 6, though, was an absolute dart on the back shoulder. So I think the team with the best quarterback, in my opinion, wins this game. I know Alabama's going to have the, quote, best skill player with Ryan Williams, but outside the Wisconsin game, you really haven't seen him produce that much. Now, granted, I think he missed I can't remember if they even played last week, but I think they're both on a bye, and he missed most of the Florida State game. But I don't see it. I don't see Ty Simpson coming to form and just shocking us all. And I can't believe this spread's only 3.5. So if I'm betting this game, I might stay away from it. But if I'm betting this game, I'd probably honestly take Georgia money line, just because you don't know what's because it is close. It's 155 right now, minus 155. So give me Georgia to win this game.
I agree. It's a big prove-it spot for Alabama. Can they be who a lot of people thought they were preseason? I mean, some people, the guy that I'm wearing his shirt right now, Pate State, Josh Pate, had them as his national champion. So they had a lot of praise going into the season, and losing to Florida State the way they did was obviously a huge deal. And lost a lot of
Yeah.
trust. Georgia winning against Tennessee, I think we both thought that Tennessee was going to win that game, and they really should
Yeah.
have won that game, which is kind of interesting to think
Yeah.
about. I agree, it's a hard pick. I would like to stay away from it if I could. But since I have to
Yeah,
pick,
I'll probably won't actually bet it. But
yeah, exactly. Since I have to pick, I'll also trust Georgia a lot more. I say a lot more. I trust Georgia to win this game more than I trust Alabama to win this game, especially at home. And I think Kirby Smart's a better coach than DeBoer. I think Gunnar Stockton's a better quarterback than Ty Simpson. Georgia's receivers are probably a little bit worse.
I think the receiver group, I think, for Georgia is somewhat better than Bama. Bama has a good one too.
Yeah.
But it's like the rest that I have questions about. Georgia, like you talked about Chambliss spreading the ball around, and that's one of the reasons that the message boards at Ole Miss kind of, like seem to like him a lot, because he's not targeting one guy. He's spreading the wealth around. That's what Stockton, I think, is able to do especially late game situation. Late game situation, Ty Simpson, he's throwing the ball to Ryan Williams. And so Georgia, Kirby Smart, they're going to bracket him, and they're going to probably put their best DB on, I forget his name, but the number 5 guy.
Bernard.
Bernard, yeah. And so they're probably going to put his best DB, either best DB on Williams and bracket Bernard, or bracket Williams and put their best DB on Bernard in that late game kind of situation. And I think Ty Simpson could get a little volatile and try to force it and throw a pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'll probably
just needs to ramp up the pressure on Ty Simpson too. He's not a mobile quarterback. Follow the Florida State blueprint. Ty Simpson was running for his life the whole game, and Florida State looked amazing because of it. So I think if Georgia
and the Florida State game is what gives me more lean towards Georgia, because I mean, if you looked at, and I know Georgia's more of ground and pound type running, where it's inside zone or it's power, whereas Florida State's was read option and optioning you to death. But Gunnar Stockton can move a little bit. So if I'm the Georgia offensive coordinator, Mike Bobo, I try to at least use some sort of quarterback run to try to get Bama and just inside zone them. Don't worry about the power or like the straight dive. Inside zone them, because if you saw the way Bama defended the zone against Florida State, it wasn't very well. I mean, Tommy Castellanos ran wild. But yeah, I think we're both kind of on the same page. I just think it's very, very. I just think the lines. It's a crazy line for these teams. The way from what we've seen from Georgia and what we've seen from Alabama. Now, granted, Georgia didn't look really good the first 2 weeks, but the last time we saw them, they won a shootout in Neyland. Moving over to our last ranked on ranked matchup, it's where game day is. It's number 3 versus number 6. Penn State hosting Oregon. It is night game. It's the whiteout. Penn State's getting 3.5. Over under set at 51.5. I, of course, lost my first ever lock of the week because Oregon did their part, but Oregon State's offense is absolutely atrocious. But I'll let you start, and I'll see what your pinpoint is on this game.
Sure. So this is a game that Penn State has historically lost. This is a game that Drew Aller has historically lost. This is a game that James Franklin has historically lost. Give me Oregon and the points all day, baby. I'll just say, we've kind of had we've had this theme even in the videos that didn't get recorded got recorded but not posted. Right. These quarterbacks, Klubnik, Drew Allers in that same thread, Arch, these guys that are not incredibly mobile. They have some good arm talent. They're 5 stars coming out of high school. We're expecting them to take these huge leaps year to year, and it's just not happening. They're just not developing how people want them to, how people are expecting them to. You can blame it on the receivers. Yep. Like Texas's receivers weren't creating separation against Ohio State. Fine. Has he looked good the rest of the year? Talking about Arch. Drew Aller's receivers have been awful his whole career there. Well, they're all transferring and doing great at their new spots. So something,
Right.
there's a disconnect somewhere.
Isn't one at Ole Miss?
Yeah, Harrison Wallace. He's our leading receiver,
Yeah.
and he's open
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the time. He's a stud.
Yeah.
I'll just say like Penn State, and like I'll just say about Drew Aller, he's not a great college. Could he be a great NFL quarterback? Sure. Is he a great college quarterback?
Yeah.
No. And I think that's going to continue to be the case in this Oregon game. I don't think that they're going to break the curse that is the Penn State losing big games curse this week. So
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm with you. I think Oregon money line at plus 140 is the play. I think, and if you want to put anything on the over or on the total, I'd probably take the under, just because of both defenses have looked good against their kind of weaker competition that they've played. Both defenses have looked really good. Like Oregon held Oklahoma State to 3 points. They held Oregon State to, I believe, 7 last week, or maybe 10. It was 7. So I just don't see the over hitting, and because I do think that this is a game that Oregon wins like 27-14. Like I think, and I don't think it's going to be as close as the final scores are going to predict.
the only way the over hits is if Oregon misplays some runs and it lets a lot of explosive runs happen. Like that's the only way is if Penn State scores a substantial amount of points with some explosive runs.
Right. Exactly. And I think, because the thing with Aller has been, like, when he was the starter, I think this is his second year as the starter, or no, his third year as the starter. When he was the starter 2 years ago, it was, this Penn State's got a quarterback. But it's the same thing with Arch and, like, Quinn Ewers. It's like, okay, if he was better than the guy that they had previously, then why did he not play? But because in my opinion, I don't care if you're a senior and a true freshman's behind you. If the true freshman's better than you and he gives us the best chance to win week in, week out, I'm playing him versus playing the senior. And I don't care if the senior's is a 2-year starter, has thrown for 60 touchdowns, 10 picks, doesn't turn the ball over. I'm playing the guy that gives me the best chance to win the game. And that's my thing with Allen. Now, granted, I get it. He's started for 3 years, but the whole hype on him was he's better than Clifford. He's better than McSorley, sorry. He's better than, pretty much, he's the best quarterback that Penn State's had in a long time. But it's like, okay, if he was that, then why is he not a 4-year starter? Why? And because you haven't seen the production. The last time we saw this guy in a big-time spot was in the national semifinal against Notre Dame, and he threw a dumb interception that cost Penn State the game, because he threw the pick right to the DB off his back foot, and it got picked off. Penn State was Notre Dame was right in field goal range, just ran the clock out, kicked the field goal, won. They played Ohio State for the national championship. And this is his biggest game since then. And I get it's at home. I get it's the whiteout. I get all that. But you haven't, like we said, this is the game. Outside of the Ohio State game in 2017, you've lost this. When Michigan came into town, Ohio State came into town for all those years, and it was, hey, this is the game. We're going to show we arrived. We're here. We're ready to battle for another Big Ten title. You haven't done it. Like, the only reason you played the Big Ten championship game last year was because Ohio State lost to Michigan. Because you were going to lose that tiebreaker at Ohio State because you lost to Ohio State yet again it was at home. So it's like time and time again, I'm not going to keep falling for the same trap. So, yeah, I'm completely on side with you. So it kind of scares me we agree on every game. But, yeah, Oregon money line, I think, is the play.
I will say you brought up a point about the freshman. If the freshman's better than the senior, like, we will start the freshman. And in the case where you're on the hot seat, like last year, Billy Napier rode with DJ Lagway. It's like, this guy's the future.
Yeah.
Like, that's where that would be the case. But I think you saw it with Sarkisian going back to Quinn Ewers. I'm not saying that I don't think Arch necessarily deserved to take Quinn Ewers' job. Like, Quinn actually was hurt, and he did just fine with the Texas offense. But the point I'm trying to make, besides all that, is, like, these upperclassmen, you're paying a lot of NIL dollars. So that's where it gets complicated when you have to, like, hey, we're going to play this freshman who we're paying $100,000, and now they're going to ask for more money, or they're not going to play the next game. And we already pissed off the senior because we just benched him. And so now you're paying for 2 quarterbacks because you can mid-season negotiate. There's no rules. And so it's really complicated now when there's no structured contracts, and you can negotiate whenever you want. That's the issue I think that some of these teams are running into, at least the good ones, where they have quarterback issues. But their backups also may just be bad. That's also possible.
Right, yeah. So that's our games, the ranked games. I do have an added game to make us 5, and that is, because I'm not going to talk about any of my bets just because I try not to bet with my heart. That is Mississippi State host number, 15? Number 15, Tennessee. Mississippi State is 7.5 point underdogs. Over under set at 62.5. This is the biggest home conference game since 2022. Mississippi State has not won a home conference game, since 2022. They won in 15 the last 2 years. The one win being at Arkansas. And yes, if you hear rain in my background, it is not white noise. It is a thunderstorm that has popped up out of nowhere in my town. So if you also hear my dog going crazy, I do apologize, everybody. I'm going to try to talk over all of that.
We don't have a studio quite yet.
We don't have the studio yet. So, hey, hit subscribe, get our viewership up. Sure, tell your mom, tell your friends, tell everybody. And, we'll have a Josh Pate studio before you know it. My feeling on this game is, I don't know. Like, the line was 10, now it's 7.5. That means a lot of money's coming in on Mississippi State. So it's like, I'm in a weird spot. Do I think we can win? Absolutely, because Tennessee has looked gettable in terms of, if you look at the Georgia game. The issue I have is that Tennessee loves to run. They love to run the ball. They love to spread you out, run the ball. And our best defensive player plays in the secondary. And he makes up he helps make up a lot of for mistakes. I know no one's probably watching the Mississippi State Northern Illinois game. This guy came from across the field on a rollout and literally stepped in front of the ball that the DB guarding the receiver that the quarterback was throwing to wasn't playing good coverage, and he stepped in front of the ball and got a pick in the end zone. So if we're counting on that guy to play all across the field with the way Tennessee likes to spread it out and with the wide splits, I don't know if it's a good recipe for success defensively. Offensively, Brendan Thompson and Anthony Evans, they got to make plays, and Mosley's got to do something as that big receiver threat, especially in the red zone. You can't be taking sevens, or excuse me, you can't be taking threes. You got to get sevens on almost every possession. You kind of have to do what you did last week and use the clock, because if you go 3 and out time and time again, Tennessee, no matter even if you stop them a couple of possessions in a row, by that third, fourth possession, with the way they like to run and go tempo, it's going to get dicey. So I'm not going to bet the game. I am going to watch the game. I'm actually having a little watch party at the house. But yeah, it's dicey. I am intrigued. I am hopeful. Obviously, I'm on the fence kind of with the Arizona State game. This is the one SEC home game that I think we have the better chance of winning, just because the other 3 are Texas, Georgia, and Ole Miss. Because SEC hates Mississippi State. That's fine. We won't get into the committed. You're giving me Bama back? Like, why? I loved that playing them the last 2 years. Like, why did I have to get Bama back? And I don't even get Kentucky. I get Vandy, a team on the rise in Nashville. What in the world? Whatever. Anyway, sorry. But that's my Mississippi State tangent. If you bet on the game, bet the over. I think the over hits. I think Mississippi State could possibly put up 30. But I think Tennessee wins the game.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bet that, but I think Tennessee has whereas the thing is, though, and I've talked about, if I was a coach, this is what I would do. If I'm Jeff Lebby, you're playing with house money, guys. Like, I know we're trying to go 1-0 every week. You're playing with house money. No one expected you to go 4-0. You've already hit your over on Vegas's win total for the season. No one expects y'all to win the Arizona State game. No one expects y'all to really probably win this game. So you're playing with house money, guys. Just go out there, sling it, Blake. Defense, play with your hair on fire, and let's just see what happens after 4 quarters.
My thought on that game is I think with that spread, I would take Tennessee the 7.5, but if it works its way back up to 10, like at the 10.5, I would take Mississippi State. Like I think they can keep it within 10.
Yeah.
But
I agree. I think, and we kind of
just like Tennessee, man. They look like a really solid team. The defensively, they're really good, and then the system that they run, like they're going to score points. So it's going to be a tough matchup,
right? And that's the issue. Like that's what I was getting at with you. Got to get 7. You can't get 3 because Tennessee. If you're playing the field goal game with Tennessee, they're going to beat you.
Yeah.
And so that's my feeling on that game. We are now going to get into our locks of the week. We actually have 2 picks from our producer, Corey. Corey's not on, but he is the one who, if you saw last week's episode, he made all the cool graphics. He made the cool logo. Huge shout out to Corey. And yeah, like the video, subscribe, so we can actually start paying the man. Because he's doing all this for free just because he loves us. But so we're actually gonna have a 6-leg parlay that we're gonna post on the Discord and on the Twitter at AB Talk Sports on Twitter. Or X, excuse me. And we're going to post the 6-leg parlay. We're each going to have 2 locks. So Corey's 2 locks are Notre Dame -4 at Arkansas. That was actually 4.5 when he took it. It has worked its way to 4.
Nice.
So I don't know what. So tried to get that in while the getting's good there, folks. They of course they're at Arkansas. He has Oregon +3.5 against Penn State. My 2 locks are, and I kind of didn't talk about it that much because the fact that this over is set at 54.5 in the Ole Miss LSU game is an absolute slap in the face to Lane Kiffin and whoever the offensive play caller is for LSU, because the way we've seen that game's gonna go over, it's gonna soar over. Give me the over. And my other lock, Duke has beaten nobody. They got blown out by Illinois at home, and we've seen Illinois is not as good as we thought they were, and they got blown out, or not blown out, but they lost to Tulane on the road. Now Tulane, good G5 team, no disrespect to Tulane, but they're 5.5-point favorites to Syracuse. Now I get it, Clemson's not that good, but they're on the road in the Dome. Give me the Syracuse Orange +5.5. Those are my 2 legs in the AB parlay.
I just need to clarify. You do know that Angeli's hurt, right? The Syracuse quarterback.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, but the backup came in and was throwing darts too. Okay. So again, Clemson's defense might be terrible, but yeah, no, Angeli, it was one of those things you see the replay and you know immediately, because we have grown too accustomed to Achilles injuries that as soon as I work at a fast food restaurant. If I see a guy grab his heel immediately, I know it's gone. The Achilles is gone. Season's over. Career is possibly over.
Yeah.
But yes, I do know Angeli's out.
Okay, just making sure for me and for the guests, for the listeners.
Yes, I am in full aware that Angeli is out.
Okay. All right. So I think this is a pretty common thing and a common trend. This is why I'm taking this game. I think Oklahoma State is going to cover 21 against Baylor. And I think that teams that fire their coach get a shot in the arm, and they play a little bit better with their interim coach. They play really hard for whoever the interim is. The issue is that
we'll see it.
I'm a little bit doubting, but it's my lock, it's my parlay. I'm not gonna say why I'm doubting my pick, but
yeah. No,
it's a talent disparity, but 21 is a big spread.
The talent disparity is big, but Baylor hasn't looked like. I know I think everyone thought they could have possibly been a player in the Big 12, but they lost to Oklahoma at home. Auburn at home.
Yep.
Week 1, and we've seen that kind of. Don't know how that loss is really going to look, and they lost or they lost at home again last week on the last second field goal to Arizona State. Arizona State, a team that's trying to work themselves back into that Big 12 CFP picture with the loss that they suffered against Mississippi State. Yeah, 21, I think, especially with the OC. I think the OC got named the interim. And, yeah, you talk about shot in the arms. We'll see UCLA play this week. We'll see Virginia Tech play this week. Both those teams were off last week. So the fact they fired him on a Tuesday mid-game week is kind of surprising, especially since he'd been there for so long, Gundy. But, yeah, I like that play because I do run with that trend of the interim coach. You get the little bump those first 1 or 2 games.
And then my other pick is New Mexico beating New Mexico State by 14. I think that's a lock. New Mexico is just too good. They're like we said, week 1, like they have all conference players all over their team. So lock that in, brothers.
So the parlay again. Corey's picks: Notre Dame minus 4.5, Oregon plus 3.5. My picks: Ole Miss, LSU over 54.5. Again, this is the odds and the numbers at the time of this recording on Tuesday at 9:13 Central Time. Syracuse plus 5.5 at home against Duke, and Ben's or Oklahoma State plus 21.5 at home against Baylor, and New Mexico 21 even straight up, and then New Mexico 14 straight up at home against New Mexico State in the battle for whatever they play for, because I'm sure they play for something.
I think it's at Armadillo.
So yeah, those. Is it an Armadillo? That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. And that game's at 3 o'clock. See, there's a lot of good games going on.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm hosting a watch party, and I'm a guy. I have ADD. The quad box on YouTube TV works wonders for me. I came home from work on Saturday. I grabbed myself a drink. I won't say what name because we don't have any sponsors, and I don't know who watches these videos. And I had the quad box. I had the Auburn Oklahoma game. I had the Ole Miss Tulane game. I had Mississippi State, New Orleans, Illinois. And I forgot whatever the fourth game was. It wasn't a game I was paying that much attention to. But yeah, so I mean, I'm normally a quad box guy, but all people coming over are either Tennessee fans, and one of them includes my father-in-law, who can't really see that well, so he's probably going to be like, no quad box, I got to see big picture. And he'll probably also have the game on the radio, on the phone. Am I missing anything, Ben, before we just spark? Or we each have our own parlays. We do have that. So Ben actually has 2. He has a 6-legger and a 7. Let me find it here because I got these in. So his 7-leg parlay is Indiana minus 7.5, New Mexico money line, the over at 62.5 in the Mississippi State game. These again, he locked these in, I believe, Sunday or Monday. He has the Oregon money line against Penn State, the over in the Alabama-Georgia game, over in LSU Ole Miss. That number's actually gone down since this time of recording, or excuse me, since you placed it, because it was at 55.5 when you got it. So you actually have lost some. You've actually lost something.
The heck, Vegas.
And then I don't know, right? And then you have South Carolina money line against Kentucky. I don't know what their spread's at, but I'd probably look at their spread. Kentucky's dog water. His 6-leg parlay, or excuse me, that was $5 to win $250. That's plus 50.74 for those at home. His other parlay is Florida State minus 7 against Virginia on the road. He has TCU plus 2.5 against Arizona State. TCU, I think, is a big player, forks down in the Big 12. He has the over in the Arkansas Notre Dame game at 64.5, 54.5 over in James Madison against Georgia Southern, 49.5 with Utah on the road at West Virginia, and he has the under 61.5, first under I think he's played, in Memphis, Florida Atlantic. I think that number, just looking at it, first time I really looked at it, that is predicated on Memphis scoring a lot of points. Yeah. And I think Memphis will, but you're also like Florida State's got to. I mean, Florida Atlantic's probably got to put like two touchdowns on the board. And Memphis's defense, I know they didn't look that good last week, but with the level of competition that they have been playing, they've looked pretty good.
It's a letdown spot there. I think they're just not going to come out as like they're going to come out flat. That's all. That's what I'm betting. That's what I'm betting.
No, I see it. I see that definitely. So, and then my parlay of the week. Gotta clear that. Okay, my parlay of the week, folks. You get this absolutely live. So I'm going to put in my two locks. My two locks, again, was the Ole Miss LSU over and then Syracuse plus 5.5. And then, let me look. I'd like to get a four-legger. Give me South Carolina, Kentucky under 45.5. I don't trust either offense. Kentucky's offense is absolutely dog water, and South Carolina's offense, though it looked better at times last week, it did not look. It did. I mean, they put up 20 against
Missouri,
who they played last week, Missouri, and so give me the under in that game. And then, as I said, I have Syracuse. Really should probably do this before, but you know what? I got other stuff to do. And then I have, give me Minnesota minus 4.5 against Rutgers. Rutgers, I think that was an absolute heartbreaker last week at the hands of Iowa, and I think you could see the Scarlet Knights. Scarlet Knights kind of do this. They go 3-0, they start 3-0, 4-0, and then they start Big Ten play, and it's just kind of a nosedive, and then they finish 6-6, 7-5. So give me that. That is plus 1252 on the parlay, so 10 will pay out just around $130. So that's the episode for the week, guys. We hope that you have a blessed week. Love some football. Watch some football. Take our bets. Let's win some cash, folks.
let's do it.